Meridian. Chapter 3. Interlude. Blitz. Oh, it was a good morning. Security at the palace last night had been tighter than when Stolas. Just leave the balcony doors unlocked. A well-hung intruder might feel like dicking me down tonight. Stolas was the big bird in charge, but not by much. Still a piece of cake for a miscreant as accomplished as Blitz to sneak in and out without a single eyeball on him or his plunder. Stolas had warned him that the Ice Queen might have moved the book, and he'd been right, but that had been 5 extra minutes of looking max. And then he was hopping out a window with that familiar weight under his arm and scampering off into the night. Honestly, these blue bloods had too much confidence in their own power. It made them sloppy as shit. And oh, it felt good to stick it to that icicle-pricked peacock one more time. And it felt good when Stolas had met him on the other side of the door, dragging him into the apartment, checking him over for any sign of harm, all 4 of his eyes lighting up when Blitz held out the grimoire with a ta-da, pulling him into those long, feathered arms and squeezing so tight. All, oh, Blitz, Blitz, you marvel, you wonder, thank you. Oh, fuck yeah. That had felt good. When Stolas had first approached him earlier yesterday, all stiff limbs and darting eyes, Blitz's heart had sunk into his knees. He's moving out, he thought. He's quitting IMP. He's realized that this really is all your fault. He is sorry, but he just doesn't think he's ever going to be ready for a relationship with you. He's not in love with you anymore. But in a million years, Blitz wouldn't have guessed what he was about to say. You want me to steal the book? Blitz had asked, mouth falling open. Again? He thought. That is what I am asking, yes. Stolas had bunched his fingers in the hem of his sweater. The one Blitz had picked out for him, deep blue and form-fitting and ribbed for Blitz's pleasure, made him look like a sexy professor or a sexy librarian or like some sexy guy in a sweater, and peered down apprehensively. Just ask me if you need a ride anywhere, Stoles. I got you. Or, oh, you need a portal to Earth? You know I'll rub one out with this bitch and pop you out anywhere you want, right? Blitz had already raised his wrist and hawked a pool of spit into his mouth, ready to lube the crystal up just the way the little slut liked it. The portal spell is just one among the multitudes contained in the grimoire. You understand, Blitz? Stolas had given him a vaguely exasperated squint. It isn't some glorified public transit device. Blitz swallowed the mouthful of spit back down. Right, sure. Get off my dick, Stolas, I know that. It isn't? So, what spell are you looking for? Stolas had explained to him, solemn and practiced, as if he'd been rehearsing this sales pitch in his head for a lot longer than that morning, that the closer Octavia's 18th birthday loomed, the more afraid Stolas became. He couldn't say for sure that Stella or Andre Alphys would hurt her just to keep hold of the power and wealth she would soon inherit, but he couldn't dismiss the possibility entirely, not after everything they had already done to get their greedy, grasping talons on it, even temporarily. I can do nothing to protect her against their manipulation, only put my trust in her cleverness and judgment, which I believe will carry her through, but if they choose to hurt her, she won't be expecting that. Stolas had wrung his hands, and Blitz had been nice enough not to roll his eyes when he said, Yeah, because for some reason you decided to be all stiff upper lip about your wife being a psychotic, murderous bitch instead of, telling literally anyone else what was going on. He'd sounded bitter. He couldn't help it. When Stolas had finally told him, oh so casual, "Oh yes, Blitz, I know who put the hit on me, didn't I tell you? Oh, I've known for ages, no big deal. It was just my wife being a total fucking psycho cuntbag as per usual. Oh, and it was hardly worth mentioning, she's always been like this. Did I never tell you about the time she threw a crystal decanter at my head? Oh, silly me, must have slipped my mind. It was only a little blood, hardly worth a fuss. I'm a big, stupid, fluff-brained dummy, hoot, wouldn't want to be a bother, blah, blah, blah." Blitz had nearly had an aneurysm from how hard he'd had to clench down on the rage that had wanted to explode out of him. I remember a protection spell on one of the very first pages. It wasn't something I ever took the time to study. It had seemed so unnecessary back then. But if I could just read it one more time, gather the things I'd need to perform the ritual, with the power of the grimoire, I think I could put some protection hocus-pocus on Birdie Jr. Got it. Blitz had held up a hand and put the frazzled old owl out of his misery. I'll do it. Blinking, Stolas had straightened up, head nearly brushing the ceiling. You will? Sure, why not? Blitz had flicked his claws, going for NBD vibes. Please, Stolas, I've stolen so much shit from that palace. You think I'm drawing the line here? It will be dangerous, Stolas had impressed upon him gravely. Uh-huh. You will be killed if you are caught. Makes sense. I won't be able to do anything to help you. Sure. This could be, say less, Big Bird, I'm already hard. Blitz grabbed Stolas by the hands, looking up into those big, shaking eyes that could no longer hide their secrets from him. I've got this. Anyway, long story short, now they were here. The morning after Blitz's big heist, book back in Stolas' possession where it belonged, and Blitz had slept like a baby, happy to finally have been able to give Stolas something that he actually wanted for the first time in a long time. Morning, lazy Oh, Stolas was already awake. That never happened. He didn't look up. Perched on the couch, weird long bird legs twisted up under him, beak stuck in the book. From the shadows around his eyes, it was a good bet that he hadn't gone to bed at all last night. Oh, good morning, Blitz. Wow, that protection spell must be a doozy, huh? Thought you said it was simple. Blitz got up from the beanbag and wandered closer, peering at the pages of notes Stolas had written as he studied the grimoire. Even his manic scrawlings were gorgeous, all loops and flicks and elegant lines. Who the fuck but Stolas scribbled in cursive? Anyway, it was all nonsense to Blitz, so he left Stolas with a directive to get his stank ass all washed up and went to get started on breakfast. By the time Stolas had managed to drag himself away from his frantic research and had a bath, the food was ready. They sat together at the table in an increasingly uneasy silence. So, you gonna need ingredients for this ritual of yours? Blitz asked through a mouthful of mush. 'Cause I'm all out of Eye of Newt, and I don't even know where you get toe of frog for a reasonable price around here. He let that hang with an expectant grin wavering at the edges of his lips, but Stolas didn't pick up on the joke. Instead, he finished his food, wiped his mouth with a napkin, placed it primly on the table, and said, Blitz, in a way that did not feel good. It was that, do you have my book, Blitz? Blitz. That, I'm about to tear down your foundations, Blitz. It immediately got his tail coiling. While I was perusing the grimoire last night, I came across something else. Something even more effective than a protection spell. Stolas was looking down at his lap. Something that would guarantee Octavia's safety. Oh, well, that's good. That's great, isn't it? Blitz let himself deflate a little. So, why the long face? You gonna need more shit from the palace? Expensive-ass ingredients? A blood sacrifice? 'Cause I can get Moxie over here stat. He's not actually a virgin, but he gives off big virgin energy, probably enough to trick some dumb ritual. It is very old magic. Forbidden magic. Stolas's voice was quiet, but severe. Forgotten magic. Not exactly forgotten if it's just sitting there in your dusty old book, Blitz pointed out, hooking an arm over the back of his chair and leaning like this conversation wasn't making dread pool in his gut for some reason. The spell isn't intact, but the threads of it remain. A brief history here, a note scribbled in the corner there, components scattered throughout the pages. I believe I have managed to reassemble most of it, and what remains can be intuited. Possibly. Right. So you cross your fingers and go for it. Best case scenario, the spell works, and worst case, what? You turn yourself into a toad. I tear down the very fabric of our world, and hell collapses in on itself like a dying star. Oh, Blitz blinked. Yeah, that's worse. Stolas's beak was pressed tight, his head hanging. Blitz, who hadn't come this far just to doubt him now, shook out his shoulders to force the tension out and tried for a reassuring smile. But if you think you can do it, then I know you can. He reached his hand across the table, and Stolas responded as if they were magnets, presenting his own hand for Blitz to take a hold of. And if it'll keep your daughter safe, then it's worth the risk. Stolas didn't return his smile. He shrank even further into himself, if anything. Blitz didn't know how he was managing to screw this up, but he had never been any good at quitting while he was ahead. So, what kind of spell are we talking? He asked, squeezing. Chronomancy, Stolas said in a breath. What did you call me? Blitz asked, tilting his head. Time magic, Blitz. Stolas pulled his hand away, using both of them to grasp at his own shoulders, twisting as if saying the words pained him. A spell to turn back the clock. A chance to change everything for the better. Blitz's brain shorted for a few seconds. When he could finally speak again, it was to say, What? Stolas flinched, and he couldn't look Blitz in the eye as he said, I'll never get another chance like this. Surely I can't just squander it. Wait. Let me make sure I've got this straight. Blitz pushed away from the table, his chair squealing on the floor. He paced, rubbing hard at his forehead. You want to go back in time and change... What? How far are we talking? You gonna let me get executed this time? No, of course not. Never. Just far enough to come up with another plan. I could, if I knew what was coming, this time I could whisk you away before the Reapers came to arrest you. Oh, so a life on the run for me and the gang, huh? What a generous offer. Thanks a fucking bunch, Stolas. Blitz's blood was boiling. Earlier then, Stolas amended, running his hands through the feathers on his head, miserable and unfocused and manic. All the way back. All the way back to where? Blitz spat, unable to look at him for more than a half second at a time before the urge to wring that stupid asshole's neck became too tempting and he had to look away again. The night of the party. I'd control myself this time. I won't sleep with you or let you take the grimoire or make any kind of deal. Stolas nodded to himself like this was some kind of plan coming together, and Blitz's stomach roiled at the growing sense of finality to it all. None of it would ever happen. And once again, me and my business get fucked in the A, Blitz growled. "Oh, I'd make sure to get you the crystal," Stolas was quick to assure him. Like that was the point. Like that had ever been the fucking point. "You have my word, Blitz. I won't let you suffer for my mistakes." And this was the shit that had always messed Blitz up when it came to the two of them. Stolas, in one breath, saying such pretty, impossible things like, "I care very deeply for you," then in another coming out with this patronizing, goetic bullshit, all pitying smiles and sweeping decisions, without ever asking Blitz what suffering even meant to him, what he actually wanted. "I'll stay with Stella, at least until Octavia comes of age, and once I'm sure that she is safe, well, perhaps I can consider my future then." Not, "I'll leave her ass then," or "I'll come and find you then," he thought. Just some vague, easy-to-break not promise to maybe, possibly, potentially give a thought to committing to a pale imitation of the freedom he had clawed his way into in this reality, like it all meant jack shit to him. "Yes," Stolas nodded, conversing only with himself at this point. "I really think this would be the best for everyone." He gave Blitz a beaming smile, the brightest smile he'd been able to muster since the day he first trudged into this apartment, months back now, and it finally hit Blitz. Stolas just didn't see it. He looked at everything Blitz did. The soft encouragement, the tender patience, the tailored meals and offered routine, and Blitz holding his heart out in his hands. And he didn't see the love of it all. Blitz had been out here this whole time like a chump. Actions speak louder than words. Show the bird that you appreciate everything he did for you, that you regret how things ended, that you want to be with him for real this time. It had been slow going, sure, but Blitz was willing to wait as long as it took, and he really felt recently like they were moving closer to something. "Idiot," he thought. He gritted his teeth against the sting. "You fucking moron. How many times you gotta be rejected by the same fucking guy before it sinks through that thick skull of yours?" "I can't believe," he muttered, before exploding into a supernova of white-hot rage. "I risked my little red hole for this!" Stolas fell back in his chair, smile falling from his face. "I could have got caught getting that stupid book! I could have died!" Blitz prowled the length of the kitchen again and again, kicking a cabinet door with a bare hoof and letting the pain stoke the flames higher, "just to give you the chance to throw me away again!" "That isn't... I'm not..." Stolas got to his feet, approaching with a bent back, hands reaching out. "Fuck off, Stolas!" Blitz slapped him away, then took a deep, gulping breath. He had to get control of himself or he was going to say something he really couldn't ever take back. "Fuck all the way off, back to the past, and go live your best life." Stolas, rubbing at his hand and looking more struck by Blitz's words than anything else, tried again. "Blitz, please, it's not like that. I have to try, don't I? For Via." Blitz turned from him, grasping the edge of the counter for balance, lowering his head and muttering, "For Via. Or for yourself, Stolas." He didn't get to see Stolas's reaction to that, though the sharp intake of breath from behind him seemed like all the confirmation he would ever need. There were some long moments of silence. Then the shuffle of Stolas's talons across the floor as he presumably went to retrieve the grimoire from the couch. Then he crossed back to Blitz, hesitating for a moment. and continued past him, out the door. As it clicked shut, Blitz finally let himself turn, his legs tangling and going liquid as he slid down the counter. He landed on the kitchen floor and stayed there a while. Goodbye, Blitz. He didn't even get that this time.